Hey guys, Drifter here, showing off some Advanced Warfare gameplay with the IMR thermal sight, and I wanted to talk about my hopes, advice, / suggestion for the MLG rule set for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, because obviously the game's going to be played competitively, it's going to have a pro scene, and I kind of wanted to talk about the things that I think should be banned, and why I don't think that very many things should be banned for competitive play. And I know that sounds crazy, because in every Call of Duty game there's a ton of crazy stuff that is, at best, annoying, and at worst, broken or overpowered. There's not a single Call of Duty game, without exception, that doesn't have some quirky things that pro players hate and don't make for good competitive play. I'll pick on IEDs, that's a pretty good one, or, you know, something like that, or some of the crazier kill streaks. However, I feel that kind of alienates the public community. One of the biggest problems that the Call of Duty, we'll say, overall community has right now is that there's a very big rift between the public casual players and the hardcore competitive scene. And the rift is caused by two things. Number one, it's because each side feels the other side gets an undue amount of attention. Why do the hardcore competitive players, why do these public plebes get all these sort of patches and fixes when it doesn't really help what we need? And the public players feel that because the competitive guys are still a minority or a smaller part of the community, that the amount of attention they receive is disproportionate. But the other thing that they have going on is that competitive Call of Duty, if you watch MLG or the 2K tourneys or game battles or even AEL or whatever, the rule set that they play on, especially in Black Ops 2 and Ghost, was not the same as what you played at home and not what you would experience. There are tons and tons and tons of things that are banned, lots of restricted perks, restricted attachments, restricted weapons. I mean, even in Ghost they banned all of the marksman rifles. It's like a whole weapon class you can't even use. On top of that, the game modes are run by different rules than what was at home, or not all of them, but somewhat different. On top of that, you have a different number of people playing. There was restricted equipment, no C4s, no IEDs, no grenades, all that stuff. And I totally understand why those things aren't in competitive play, because they're annoying, or, you know, no skill multi-kill, that sort of thing. But for people tuning in for the first time watching an event, they can't connect. They don't know why these supposedly best players in the world are only using a fraction of the things in the game. It doesn't make sense to them. And that's why I'm hoping with Advanced Warfare, the MLG rule set or the AEL rule set or the game battles rule set, whatever the standard more or less competitive rule set turns out to be, is very, very minimal on the bans. And this has entirely to do with the community and what the community considers to be broken, overpowered, or not, and with the individual professional players themselves. Each one of these guys has a pretty significant following, things that they complain about or things that they make videos about demonstrating how broken they are or aren't have a tendency to get banned pretty quickly, especially in, in competitive play. And the hope is that instead of just having everybody complain about everything that's broken and just banning everything, instead we can get some really nice support from Sledgehammer Games, so that if something really isn't panning out for the competitive scene, instead of just totally banning it on MLG so that it's like ripped from the rules and from the game forever, that it could receive a rebalance or a rework so that what the pros play is the same thing as what we play at home. But on the flip side of that, what we play at home is a sort of fair, balanced, competitive rule set without all sorts of crazy stuff like Danger Close and, noob tubes, without any of that sort of crazy stuff, so that anything that's broken for competitive would also be considered broken for public matches and they would get a fix. And the prime example of this, like the one that I would hold up to the gold standard, is League of Legends. For those of you that aren't familiar, I play League of Legends on this channel. I post it a little bit, I stream it a lot. If you go and look at professional League of Legends play, which is the biggest esport in the world, it's the biggest game in the world, what you play at home, League of Legends, has the exact same rule set, the exact same characters, the exact same champions, the exact same map, game modes, and everything as what you play at home. There are maybe only minor differences when it comes to competitive play. If a champion is broken or if there's a bug, they'll just ban that for like a week, but then it comes back when it's fixed. But it's the same thing, so people watching, especially for the first time, it looks exactly what they're used to experiencing at home, or if they see it there and then they download and play at home, it'll look exactly the same, and it works really well for both parties. I hope that we can get the same kind of thing in Call of Duty, and that's really going to rest on the pro players being more patient with these sort of things. Just because something might be annoying doesn't necessarily mean that it's broken or ban-worthy. Case in point of this game, the cloak. I've heard everybody say cloak is gone, cloak is getting banned, we're never going to have cloak in competitive. Yeah, I get it. Cloak is annoying. Cloak makes you kind of invisible. You can maybe camp a little bit with it. Cloak is really not a very good exo ability. Cloak runs out very, very quickly. You can't move far with it. You're not even that well cloaked. Anybody that's half decent to the game is going to be able to shoot you and kill you. And just because it's annoying, it shouldn't be stricken from competitive play. If somebody is willing to trade off much better perks or equipment to just cloak, then they should be allowed to. That's all for this commentary. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.